All right, back to this wad of wiring. Okay, so obviously we got more wiring we need here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shorten this wire here, the one that goes to the light. Once I make sure how much I actually need, I'll just cut these wires. I'll skin them back, take the excess out, and I like to solder mine and then shrink wrap them. If you don't have the capability to do that, it's not absolutely necessary. You can use just the regular crimp type butt splice connectors. Those will work fine. Just wrap them up real good with electrical tape, try to seal them up best you can. Also, on our headlight switch itself, I'm going to do the same thing with it. I'm going to shorten the wiring on it, have just enough that I need to get in there and pop it into the control panel. Another modification I'm going to make. Now you can install this just like it is, just shorten your wiring up. It's going to work fine, but like I said earlier, your switch is going to be live all the time. So what I'm going to do is the white wire here is what actually supplies power to the switch itself. And once you turn the switch on, then that power goes down here to the relay, turns the relay on, which in turn turns the light on. And the white wire basically is getting its power from the red. It does it here in this terminal junction with the relay. So what I'm going to do in the process of shortening these wires to get them to the length that I need, I'm going to cut this white wire out and isolate it from the rest of the harness. As a matter of fact, I'm probably only going to leave about a foot of wiring of the white wire. Everything else will be reconnected. I'll leave that white wire out by itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to the ignition switch to where this wire only has power when the key is on. So I'll cut to the chase and show you what my wiring harness looks like after I get it modified. So this is what we started out with. That's what we end up with. Okay, so I'll run down what all's going on here. You unwad this. Okay, from the battery connections, the fuse holder, all the way to the relay, of course that was all just like it was. We didn't modify that at all. The wiring that goes to the actual headlight plug itself, you see I've got just what I need here. And what I've done, I'll try to get you up there a little closer. I just cut the wires, got them to length, put a little heat shrink over them, soldered the ends together, backed the heat shrink over it, and then heated it up. And what I also do is I like to stagger my joints. That way they're just not right up against each other. There's a joke in there about staggering your joints, but we're not going to go there. Okay, and now that I'm done with this, what I'll do is I'll overlay these together. I'll wrap it up with electrical tape, and we'll be good to go here. Same thing with the switch connections. I did the same thing here. I just cut them to length, soldered them, put a little heat shrink over them, shrunk them down, good to go. White wire. Now this was the one that powers the switch itself. What I did here is I just cut this one. I'm going to fold this over out of the way, tuck it back down into the sleeve, the little vinyl sleeve cover here in the harness, just like that. Then I'm going to tape all this back up and I'm done with this. What I'm going to do here, this is the actual wires that power the switch itself. Now I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit because I've already figured out how I'm going to hook this thing up, so I'll show you here momentarily. But basically this is all I needed to power the switch itself when the key is on. So now we'll go over to the mower and I'll show you how all this is going to install. Okay, this is going to be a little tight in here, so I'm just kind of free-handing it. Hopefully it won't be too shaky. But here's our white wire that we were talking about earlier that's going to go to our switch. What I found was when I got in here and was looking for a place to hook on and getting some power, I found that there were two accessory wires here that weren't hooked up to anything. As a matter of fact, this yellow one here, it had a piece of vinyl covering the end of it. So I trimmed it back, hooked the battery up temporarily, turned the key on, lo and behold, we had power here. So this is the wire that I'm going to use to power a switch that will only have power with the key on. Now, if you're not lucky enough to have that situation with your mower, what you'll have to do is go over here to the ignition switch, temporarily hook your battery up, and then turn your key on and find which one of these wires has power when you turn the key on. Once you find that, then you can splice into it somewhere in here, hook your white wire to that, and you'll be good to go. All right, well, we're getting ready to install our switch. And of course, in order to do that, you're going to disconnect all your wiring. Best thing I can tell you to do is take a picture of this before you disconnect all your wires. Now, in the unlikely event that you may have already disconnected all your wires before you took any pictures of it, I'll take care of you there. I'm going to post a photo of the wiring diagram for the switch, so you can study that for a little bit and see how it all goes back together. But basically what it boils down to, it's kind of hard to tell on the switch here. I don't know if I can get the lighting where you can see it just right, but the terminals on the switches are numbered. And basically terminal number 2 and number 6 are going to be your white wire, which is going to be coming from your ignition switch or from the battery. The number 3 wire is going to be the blue wire, which is going to be going to your relay that's going to power the light. And obviously 7 and 8 are going to be ground, and that'll have your black wire on it, just like that. Now, there's a couple of things we need to consider as we're installing the light switch and wiring it up. This style of switch is backlit. In fact, it's backlit in 2 ways. The lower portion of the switch that says LED light bar illuminates when it has power put to it. Then of course the upper portion of the switch that shows the illustration of the light bar itself, it backlights when you turn the switch to the on position. Now, if you have your wiring set up the way that I have, to where the white wire only has power when the key is on, then of course the backlighting stays off as long as the key's off. When you turn the key to the on position, the LED light bar backlighting comes on, and then when you turn the switch on, the light comes on, and so does the illustration on the front of the switch. However, if you choose to wire up your switch and your wiring the way that is intended to be hooked up, toward basically once you connect power to your battery, your white wire has power all the time, then the lower portion of the light switch is going to be backlit all the time. Now, I don't know how much power that backlighting draws. It's probably not a whole lot, but I don't think that I would want that to be on all the time. So what you can do is, as you go to connect your wires, the black wire that goes onto the number 7 terminal on the switch itself, if you leave that one off, then the lower portion of the backlighting on the switch does not work. When you turn the switch in the on position, the upper portion of the backlighting comes on, so it shows that your light is in the on position. Now, if you don't want any of the backlighting to work at all, just don't connect any of the black wires to the number 8 or to the number 7. Just leave those disconnected. Your switch will still work normally, the light bar will still work normally, you just won't have any of the backlighting on there. Okay, I'm running all my wires up through the opening in the control panel, and I'm going to hook all these up the way we showed the diagram. I hope I get them right. Okay. Alright, I just want to make sure I've got everything connected real good. Got the vinyl insulators slid over the ends of them. That all looks good, so I'm going to ease that down in there. Make sure that it's not upside down. Then just pop it on in all the way, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just leave this panel loose for right now. I'll go ahead and finish just hooking everything up temporarily. I'll test the light, make sure everything works, and then I'll zip tie up everything real good, put the control panel back in place, and then we'll be good to go. Now I've got all my wiring put in place here. I've got my positive and negative hooked up. Battery's all reconnected. Got my relay zip tied right here to the frame, and then what I also did is I took the harness and I zip tied it to the factory wiring harness right there, so it kind of helps secure all that, keeps it out of that spring right there and everything. Now, as far as the wiring going up to the front, basically you can't really see it from this angle, but I followed the wiring that goes to the switch, safety switch for the right handlebar control, and so I just ran that along that. I'll go right here to the front side. Can't really see, I kind of dropped it under the frame, Then I came over to here. Here's where our connection is, where it connects to the light. Laid it over these two frame rails right here. Zip tied it twice on each one to kind of keep it from moving around. And there again, the floorboard has rubber cushions that it rides on that are actually taller than the wiring, so I'm not worried about it mashing the wiring there at all. And I've just ran it over the control lift bars for the deck. That's not going to hurt anything. And just kind of took a few minutes to work the controls, look everything over, make sure that none of my wiring got in the way of anything or is going to interfere with anything, get caught, pinched, or otherwise cause problems. My control panel is still loose here for the moment, but I just want to test everything. So I'm going to turn the ignition switch on. You can see that the switch is powered, and now that I turn it on, it lights up on the top side, and it also turns on our light itself. And you can turn the ignition switch off, it turns the light off. So that way there's no chance of that thing being left on by accident. I'm going to ease around front here and see how bright this thing is. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll work just fine. Alright, got all my screws back in the control panel. Drop the seat back down in the floorboard. And by golly, we've got this project completed.
Alright guys, this is going to wrap up our LED light bar install video for our bad boy mower. It wasn't that hard to do. I mean, heck, if this old redneck can do it, I know you can too. Alright, so be sure to stop by the shop again sometime. You never know what we're going to be working on next. If you did like our video, be sure to click the subscribe button. Also click the notification bell so that you can get notifications of our future videos. And as always, appreciate y'all stopping by D-Ray's shop. Y'all have a good one. Catch y'all next time around.